Hi, welcome to Actual Spinster. My name is Anna Marie, and I just want to talk about the books that I own physically that fit for Women in Translation Month, which is in August. Yes, I'm very tired. I'm very hot today, but I wanted to show you, I guess. Yeah, so this isn't like a TBR for this month, that's for sure. But hopefully I'll read like some, between, it would be lovely to read two, but it would also be lovely to read more than that. But I don't want to set my goals too high. But also before we get in, I wanted to recommend this novel, which is Siblings by Brigitte Reimann, translated from the German by Lucy Jones. Honestly, it's just because when I was going through my shelves and like picking out all of the like books that fit for this month for me, I found this and I was like, nobody is talking about this. This is such a good book. I read this like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's so beautiful. It's about this woman called Elizabeth, who is a painter, and she lives in the German Democratic Republic, and she has like a sibling. Well, she has 2 siblings, but her like closest brother, Uli, I think, yeah, he is really struggling with like living there, and so it's sort of about like her attempts to live ethically. It's about her approach to art. It's about socialism. It's just so good. It's like so good, and like so thoughtful, and more people should read it. So yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll just start by saying, also it must be said that if you have watched previous like Women in Translation Month or August TBRs, you will maybe spot some familiar faces, but that's okay. But I did recently in my summer TBR video talk about these 2 books, which both fit for this readathon. So that's A Woman's Affair by Liane de Pougy, translated by Graham Anderson from French. Spoilers, I guess, if you saw that I started reading it. And then Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector, translated by Alison Ontrekin from Brazilian Portuguese. Which I have not yet started, but this is like priority. I have started reading this one, and I actually I'm 60 pages in, I'm really not enjoying it. Like, it's not even that I'm like, I just do not care about it, like, at all. This is about like sort of, Belle Epoque, decadent Paris, and it's a romantic about Liane de Pougy's affair with Natalie Clifford Barney, who's this like famous, lesbian literary sophisticate, as they say, in Paris. She's American, but she, left America. And Liane de Pougy is like a courtesan. So yeah, I just don't really think I have time for or care for a lot of the like rich people stuff that's going on here. I'm just not compelled at all. Like the way the image of love between women is not something that I actually like in this. And yeah, it's very like, it's sort of almost metaphysical in a way, but I really just don't care. So yeah, I think I might read like the final chapter of this and then see if somebody else would like to read it. Yeah, disappointing, but there we go. I also like, sometimes this is the kind of book that maybe like if I read it 5 years ago, I would have really loved it, because I had this time where I was really interested in like Sapphic Paris and like early 20th century Paris, like Sapphic expatriate, like culture, literary production, like relationships. But I honestly think even if I had read it then, I wouldn't be that interested, because it's not very interesting. Disappointing. But there we go. The most recent book, I think, although I actually have ordered 1 book, that is a translated fiction book, that's okay. It's not here yet, so we won't talk about that. But the most recent book I bought that is translated, which I think was from like a couple months ago, is Indiana by George Sand, which is translated by Sylvia Raphael, which is a French book. I'm not sure that I will get to this now, but I do really want to read George Sand's work. And this year I am having an attempt to read French translated stuff, hence like reading this one. But clearly it's not going that well. A book that I would really love to get to, because I haven't read a book of hers for 2 years now. I think I read A House in Norway by Vigdis Hjorth 2 years ago for Women in Translation Month, but I might have finished it in September, I think. But anyway, this is Mother Dead by Vigdis Hjorth, translated by Charlotte Barsland, who I think does translate like all of her work into English, as far as I remember. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Vigdis Hjorth. A House in Norway was definitely not my favourite, but I loved Will and Testament. To be honest, I think if you connect with that book, it's hard not to let go of Vigdis Hjorth after that. Like, whew. especially, yeah, if you can connect with it in a material way. And yeah, I'm also really intrigued about, because she's written so many books in Norwegian, so I'm really intrigued about like what is coming in translated into the UK, and yeah, so I would love to get to this month. Oh, I haven't brought these down because I didn't want to move them, but I have 3 Yiddish translated women, although, well, this one is a short story collection. It is on my summer TBR. I don't know how likely it is I'll get to it, but I actually have been leaning more towards Nine, which is by Ida Meza, recently, so maybe I'll pick that one up. I don't know. We'll see. Shout out to Yiddish women. Sorry for being bad at reading your novels. I do have another Yiddish, translated Yiddish book here, which is A Provincial Newspaper and Other Stories by Miriam Karpilov, translated by Jessica Karzane. This is, yeah, a selection of her stories. It'd be great to read this. I really do like this cover. I think it's kind of nice as a collage. Who knows if I will? It's not like a priority like any of the... I mean, to be honest, the only real priority at this point is Near to the Wild Heart, because I would just really like to read that. And we're trying to be chill about stuff. I think this is in like a similar vein as like the Victor Stewart, which is The End of Days by Jenny Arpenbeck, which is translated from German. I've just been really intrigued to read this. I think it's just about the last 20th century, told through like the life of this like one woman, I think. And yeah, I've heard great things about it, especially in terms of like Yiddishy stuff, but like it's not, you know, it's not from Yiddish or anything. But I could be wrong about that. And it's translated by Susan Bonovsky. I recently got this, which is a Latvian book, which I'm not sure if I've read anything from Latvia. And this is Soviet Milk by Nora Iksteina, translated by Margita Galitis. I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. I was intrigued. It's called Soviet Milk. It says, this novel explores the effects of Soviet rule on a single individual. The central character in the story, a nameless woman, tries to follow her calling as a doctor. An older one that I have is Mania by Anna Gemena, translated by Kate Phillips. And yeah, intrigued. Have talked about it before. I've got 40 Lost Years by Rosa Maria Archambault, translated by Peter Bush, which I've also talked about before. It's translated from the Catalan, I believe, and it's about the experience of a seamstress during the Spanish Civil War, but also after the like loss of the Spanish Civil War. Then there's The Island by Anna Maria Matute, translated by Laura Lonsdale. It does have a great like beginning line. Expelled from her convent school for kicking the prioress and abandoned by her father when her mother dies, rebellious teenager Mattia is sent to live with her domineering grandmother on the island of Majorca. I do think this is like a very solid seeming summer read. Like the vibe seems good to read in the heat. I've got Tomb of Sand by Gitanjali Shri, translated by Daisy Rockwell. I'm really not sure, like big books. To be honest, I don't know. I think because I am very tired and I have like a bi-weekly, which by that I mean like every other week, not 2 times a week, deadline at the moment for some writing, and so, but I also have to do reading in order to do that writing. So things that are like small, that are like for me to read, like that's just like recreationally, not for my PhD. I am kind of drawn to those. So I think these like big books, even though I would love to get into them, I just also feel like I don't really have the space for that, because I need things to be like in bite-sized chunks, and it's also because I am like really fatigued, but that's another point. Okay, then we have City Folk and Country Folk by Sofia Kroshkinskaya. I'm so sorry. Translated by Nora Seligman-Favorov from Russian. This I think was written 1860 or so, or at least like it's a satire of Russia's aristocratic and pseudo-intellectual elites in the 1860s. So yeah, around then. I'm also so sorry for mispronouncing the name. I will like try to look it up if I read it, so when I next talk about it I don't butcher it so badly. There's some other like really interesting to me books that are published like by Columbia Press, is it, in this like Russian library thing. One which is about like Soviet Jewish identity. It's very to be honest, it's kind of crazy that I haven't bought that, but like maybe I will this month. Another book that I have shown many times is Child of Fortune by Yuko Tsushima, translated by Geraldine Harcourt. Yeah, a book I really do want to read. This edition has very small font, and I just haven't ever felt in the mood for it. To be honest, like I'm sort of like a mixture between like a mood reader and not. because I think like sometimes I can get into a focus with it, and then sometimes I just want to read, so then I'll just pick up anything. But then I also think like because I'm trying to be like more consistent and also finish more books instead of just starting lots of them, and that also impacts it too. Sorry if things have changed. So next I've got this is like some of the French books I've got. I guess these four. This is The Inseparables by Simone de Beauvoir, translated by Lauren Elkin, a book that I'd love to get to, but who knows if I will. Then these are all by the French author Colette, who I do really want to read. These two are in the same series. I think there's like one between this. Is this the third one? Yeah, I think there's Claudine at School, Claudine in Paris, and then Claudine Married, and then Claudine and Annie. Is that right? Is that the order? I'm not sure, but there's 4 of them, and this one's definitely the first one. So I definitely won't be getting to this one, but I would love to maybe get to this, although who knows. And then this other one by Colette is from the 1930s, I think, and it's called The Pure and the Impure. Oh, I didn't tell you who these were translated by, sorry. These are both translated by Antonia White. And then this is translated by Herma Bruffaut. I don't think I will get to this time. I think I'd like to start one of the Claudine books before I do read The Pure and the Impure. Also just because I kind of feel like these kind of bridge Colette's like writing time. With her first book, Colette turned her life into art and a literary icon was born. And so this is definitely a later one. So I feel like it might be nice to read it more chronologically. Probably not 100%, but yeah. Then I have this novel. I kind of separated this out into like languages, I guess, but I didn't, so. But this is Lies and Sorcery by Elsa Morante, translated by Jenny McPhee from the Italian. This is a book I got last year when I was like in my Natalia Ginsberg reading time, and then I was also interested in other like Italian women authors from further away than Elena Ferrante. And also I think in Italy it's actually mainly agreed that she's not a woman, like the author. Yeah, I think there's been quite a lot of like scholarship in Italy, but then like American and UK markets have just like not really wanted to engage with that, which like, you know, I think, yeah, I think that's, I guess, whatever, you know. Like, that's not me saying that I'm not interested in reading like the Neapolitan Quartet, for example. I just like haven't prioritized it and don't want to. I think I did try to listen to the audiobook once and I really hated the narrator. And like mostly if I hate the narrator's voice, then like I will not enjoy listening to the book, which is a shame because that's not obviously how you should feel about a book. Anyway, yes, this seems to be like a really interesting novel. I can't remember if it's like a family story, but it's like definitely about women. Yeah, I think this spans like the lives of 3 generations of women, focusing on, it's set in Sicily and focusing on like Elisa, an orphaned young girl who's raised by a fallen woman. Then there's a book that is actually another piece of like East Germany lit, right? And that is Cassandra by Christa Wolf, translated by Jan van Herk. This is like a retelling of the myth Cassandra. Should I put in my like, I'd want to read. The thing is, I'm so bad at this. I'm like, oh, like only this is priority, and then I'm like constantly putting more and more books on this pile. Then I have 2 Natalia Ginsberg books that are left over from my reading of Natalia Ginsberg last year. I did kind of plan to make like a whole video wrapping up all of the books of hers that I had read last year, but then I never did, and like part of it I guess was because I read most of the books of hers by her. Let's pretend that made sense. In like the first like, I don't know, 7 months of the year or something, and then in the like latter part I didn't really read any of her work, I think. So it felt like she was a real close companion for a few months, and then like she like had been gone. But maybe once I finish reading all of these, I will like go back through and revisit it and make another video. I think that could be nice. Like I'd enjoy talking about them all, and hopefully other people would then contribute to talking with me. But yeah, okay. So this is Sagittarius, which is translated by Avril Bardoni. This one was published in 1975. And then this is All Our Yesterdays, translated by Angus Davidson. I think this one is from the 1950s. The translation is also from the 1950s, which is interesting. I think it was originally published in 1952, and then this translation is copyright 1956. This is one that I would like to get to, but I also think this is very big. Part of me, you know, I think I kind of need to go on like a hot European holiday and bring one of these like big books and read it there, but that's not gonna happen anytime soon. Yes, I think this is like a coming of age story about a girl who begins at age 16 who is called Anna, and she lives in a small town in northern Italy. It would be great to read this, I guess, if I'm not up for reading this, but I'm not going to prioritize it. I think this one is about like a mother-daughter relationship. Yeah, and I don't really want to read that, especially. In fact, maybe I should try it and then decide if I am going to keep it or not. But it would be nice to read it. I've got another Clarice Lispector here. This is Agua Viva, which is translated by Stefan Tobler. I love the fact that like with these, yeah, with these books you can put them together and then create her face. Although at the same time I also sort of dislike that like very intensive focus on like what like women novelists look like, because it's like in order to be like a literary woman you do have to perform this like level of attractiveness, and obviously Clarice Lispector was like an exceptionally beautiful woman. But anyway, that's not priority. This is priority. This is Lucy by Amalia Skram, translated by Catherine Hansen and Judith Messick. This is from Norwegian. It's a classic. It's like from 1880, 1890. This is a book I also did start reading, I think, last year, but then I just like was reading lots of things and then wasn't making any progress, so I took out my marker and I'll just start it again. This is The Passion According to Renée Vivian by Maria Macei-Marçal, translated from Catalan by Kathleen McNerney and Helena Buffrey. Definitely very interested to read this. Not sure that I will get to it this year, but it would be lovely too. Then I have this book, which I also got last year, which is The End of August by Yu Miri, translated by Morgan Giles, which is set in Korea, like Japanese occupied Korea in the 1930s. And I think it's a lot about running and ghosts and also form. Got to page 2. It also looks pretty tough to read, and like the whole way that this has been printed means that the words go very close to the edge of the book, and are pretty small. But yes, I think this will be good. It was shortlisted, I think, for the Republic of Consciousness Prize, which is what like put it on my radar. But it sounds really interesting, and I have been really specifically wanting to read things about Korea and Korean history and like learning more about Korea recently. Obviously also kind of a perfect book to read in August, considering its title. I feel like if I'm going to be able to read this book, I'm going to have to completely wreck the spine. That's kind of the vibe, but I guess that's okay. I do believe the book should be read. Okay, then I have this really quite old, in terms of being in my collection for a long time, book called Leonora by Elena Poniatowska. Tavska could be, I guess. Translated by Amanda Hopkinson. I believe that the author of this is Mexican, so this must have been translated from Spanish. And it is about Leonora Carrington, the like British surrealist writer and artist, who did live in Mexico, right? I'm pretty sure, for a while. And yeah, I think it's about her life, and I picked this up a very long time ago, but I am still interested in it. I do also have these 2 other books, but I think I might do like a try a chapter tag for them, because I'm not sure if I want them anymore, or like if I'm interested in them anymore, and I would then include this, and maybe something else. I don't know. I don't feel like anything else called out to me though. So this is The Taste of Apple Seeds by Katarina Hagener, translated by Jamie Bullock, I think from German. Somebody recommended this to me many years ago. And yeah, I think it's a, you know, Bildungsroman. I think it's a coming of age story. Would be nice to try it out and see if I do want to keep it. And then another book I have is Memoirs of Adrian by Marguerite Yourcenar, which I also got quite a while ago, I think. And this is translated by Grace Frick, in collaboration with the author. That's interesting. I think this was published in 1950 or so. I'm pretty sure it's like a bit queer. I'm not sure if that's what put it on my radar. I guess this is also French, so maybe, but you know, I don't know. I don't think I'm very interested in this. I think I've kind of kept it because it's a Penguin classic or whatever, so it's like, you know, yeah, I don't know. So I think I will definitely be trying this out this month to see if I am actually interested in it anymore. Okay, I think those are like all of the books that I wanted to talk about. Definitely let me know what your plans are for Women in Translation Month. Definitely let me know if you're interested in Siblings. Please read it. Also, I mean, Natalia Ginsburg, excellent author to pick up in this month too. I feel like Voices in the Evening is a really great one of hers, and also obviously her most famous one, which is Family Lexicon. I might make another video about like women in translation stuff, maybe what I've read this year, or maybe like some actual proper recommendations, even though, I mean, this still is one, but I just mean like a video dedicated to that. But I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I will shut up now. I hope you are doing okay, and I hope you could bear with me whilst I'm very frazzled, and yeah, okay. I will talk to you when I next talk to you.